Human athlete, how are you? How are you here? How are you here? I hope that you are well. I hope your environment is doing everything it needs for you. People in your environment are promoting and supporting you. The stimulus in your environment, promoting and supporting you. That you are getting pulled or pushed relative to the situation in the right supportive ways to become the best human and athlete you can. Welcome to Human Athlete. The roster expanded again, and quite honestly, I think the best words for that are, I'm humbled. Started Human Athlete because of my commitment to sharing advanced education as a transformational coach. I believe that as I was sitting in my courses, like this stuff cannot just be sat on. It can't. And I'm blessed to achieve my education knocking on the door of a PhD. Like, I'm humbled. I don't care about numbers. I don't care if it's 100, 250, that you are giving me your time, which is the greatest gift. I will return that greatest gift and give it to you and share the information and knowledge with you. I just believe it's got to be done that way. So happy you are now a teammate here, Human Athlete. Welcome. True, false. 62% of coaches believe that individuals learn best when gathering information in their preferred learning style. False. False. That's an absolute myth and scientifically referred to as a neuro-myth, and there is no backing for it whatsoever. But here we deal with it, and we hear it frequently. In the first ever longitudinal research of its kind, research reveals that a predominant amount of coaches base aspects of their coaching on and perpetuate these neuro-myths and pseudo-scientific ideas. Example, huge neuro-myth. People only use 10% of their brains, and there is a distinct difference between left brain and right brain thinkers. No bueno. There is absolutely no factual evidence for any of that to be truthful. Zero. And in fairness, right? Think about it. Sport coaching and the calls and the expectations for better coaching, a more academic transformational coaching as a discipline, it's very young. It's kind of in its pediatric ages somewhere, right? Drawing from psychology and sports science, the demands and the expectations for transformational coaching grow. The interest grows. That growing interest calls for better coaching, more transformational coaching, expectations for coaching to be professionalized as a discipline. When you consider that overwhelming percentage of coaches are experiential coaches, and they have the responsibility toward development of athletes neurologically, physically, and behaviorally, right? And they have no professional education or background towards those areas. For our athletes is concerning. Interest in the growing demands for rigorous, evidence-based coaching, right, can only benefit the industry and predominantly athletes. and then, yeah, programs. And if you consider why, right, what's the obvious aspect of it? In the infinite multiverse search for anything to improve athletes' performance and to outsmart the other programs, right? Any science, any research, any coaching psychology, anything that works, we're in. We want it. And so these two things come together. In 2014, studies showed that 90% of coaches, and for that fact, even teachers from numerous countries around the globe, agreed that athletes and students learned better when they were receiving information that fit their learning style. Again, it's already been proven it's not true, right? Research stands right now, that is a neuro-myth. It is pseudo-science. Despite the popularity of that belief, right, there remains no compelling evidence that matching a style of coaching to an individual's strengths or weaknesses for learning is any more effective than any other instruction that's multisensory specific. And think about that for a moment, right? Whatever your coach, or even as far as that matter, whatever your school's curriculum, they may promote as scientific based, but do we just accept that as spoon fed and go with it? Or do we do some digging? The failed curriculums, pseudoscience, and neuromyths is an overwhelming list that completely blows away any curriculum or any pseudoscience that promotes one said specific way of learning. It's overwhelming. And there, like I said, there's been a ton of them, right? That have equated to zero than anything else. There have been no breakthroughs. They don't exist, right? Here's a couple that were the most popular. I don't know if you've heard of these. I heard of all of them except the one. So here, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Got to put an acronym on there. Got to sound like science. Got to sound important. It needs an acronym. Brain-based approaches, right? Have you ever heard of brain gym? I never heard of brain gym until I started studying. And then I was like, wait, what? Brain gym? Their journals included misrepresentation of scientific outcomes and notable errors in their methodology. They included it in the journal, right in front of your face as you're reading it. Gotta dig, man. Gotta dig, right? Never heard of brain gym until I started studying. Here's one that I'm very familiar with. Myers-Briggs type inventory. Yeah, this is another one. Gained some ground, very simply, oversimplified, directly for our conversations, fell on its face. Failure. Another one. And the last one, or the worst one, or you can look at it as taking first place, is the action type approach to learning. Here's the list. This is what it looks like, right? You could pause the video and you could read through this and everything else. Say the most and to say the least. Not good. There are so many more. And again, there's more there on that sheet, but then there's even more than that. In a true shake your head moment. Ultimately, the reasons for the prevalence of questionable ideas, methods, scientific approaches, neuromyths, pseudoscience used by coaches and even teachers, it's not clear. Coaches in the study came from an incredibly diverse range of educational backgrounds. I mean, yes, no, we're without judgment. Without judgment. We have to accept that as a challenging factor to perpetuating neuro-myths and pseudoscience. Athletes, as a coach, right? We can truly and logically infer, I believe, he acknowledged the basic standpoint that coaching is overwhelmingly experiential, right? It has a foundation of a tremendous amount of information that is given to you as a coach when you're first starting out. You see the examples. This is what works. This is what doesn't work. This is true. This is not. And you take it and go, right? Thus, experiential coaching. And there's a tremendous amount of information that is unsubstantiated and taken at face value. It's perpetuated. And the interesting thing about it here at Human Athlete, as far as all of that is concerned, it fits together like this, which is always my obsession with Human Athlete, was that we here at Human Athlete, again, stand by our belief that sharing advanced education of coaching science, psychology, physiology, development is a must to develop better humans and athletes and coaches and organizations in the 21st century. Build a better environment, building better environments for athletes and coaches, stakeholders, parents, guardians. It all comes together. It's all intertwined. And why? Aren't you? Aren't you? Because the human athlete, you can't be one without being both. Aren't you?